I go to London. My name is Lily, and I am 20 years old. I lived in Hong Kong all my life. Hong Kong is a big city with many tall buildings, busy streets, and lots of people. But I always wanted to see more of the world. My dream was to go to London. London is very far from Hong Kong. It is in a different country called England. I saw pictures of London in books and on the internet. There are big, red buses, the famous Big Ben clock, and the beautiful Tower Bridge. I wanted to see all of this with my own eyes. One day, my dream came true. I saved enough money and bought a ticket to London. My parents were very happy for me, but also a little worried. It was my first time traveling so far away by myself, but I was very excited. The day of my trip came. I packed my suitcase with clothes, a camera, and some books. My mom made me a big lunch for the plane. We went to the airport together. The airport was very big and busy. I checked my ticket and passport, and then I was ready to go. I said goodbye to my parents and got on the plane. The plane was very big, and there were many people. I sat by the window so I could see outside. The plane took off, and soon we were in the sky. The view was amazing. I could see the clouds and the ocean below. The flight was very long, almost 12 hours. I watched some movies, read a book, and took a nap. Finally, the plane started to land. I looked out the window and saw London for the first time. It was very green with many parks and rivers. I was so happy and excited. When the plane landed, I got my suitcase and went through the customs. The officer asked me some questions about my trip. I told him I was a tourist and wanted to see London. He smiled and stamped my passport. I was now in London. In London, I took a taxi to my hotel. The taxi was very different from the ones in Hong Kong. It was black and had a lot of space inside. The driver was very friendly. He told me about some nice places to visit in London. My hotel was in the center of the city, near a place called Trafalgar Square. It was a big square with a tall statue in the middle. There were many people, and I felt very excited to be there. The first thing I did was to go to my room and unpack. The room was small but very nice. It had a big bed, a desk, and a window with a view of the street. My first stop was the British Museum. I heard it was a very famous museum with many interesting things. The museum was very big, and there were many rooms with different exhibits. I saw ancient Egyptian mummies, Greek statues, and Chinese pottery. I spent a long time there, looking at everything. After the museum, I went to a place called Covent Garden. It was a big market with many shops and restaurants. I walked around and looked at the shops. There were many people, and it was very lively. I bought a small souvenir, a keychain with a red bus on it. In the evening, I went to a restaurant to try some English food. I ordered fish and chips, which is fried fish with French fries. It was very tasty. I also tried some tea with milk, which is very popular in England. It was different from the tea I drink in Hong Kong, but I liked it. The next day, I decided to visit the Tower of London. It is a very old castle by the River Thames. I took a bus to get there. The bus was big and red, just like in the pictures I saw. It had 2 floors, and I sat on the top floor to get a better view. The Tower of London was very impressive. It had tall walls and towers. There were many tourists like me, and we all wanted to see the famous crown jewels. The crown jewels are very beautiful and shiny. There were crowns, swords, and other royal things. I also learned about the history of the tower. Many important events happened there a long time ago. After the tower, I walked along the River Thames. There was a nice path by the river, and I could see many famous buildings. I saw the Tower Bridge, which is a big bridge that can open to let ships pass. I also saw the Shard, a very tall building made of glass. The view was amazing, and I took many pictures. In the afternoon, I visited the London Eye. It is a big Ferris wheel by the river. I bought a ticket and got into one of the glass capsules. The wheel started to turn, and I went higher and higher. From the top, I could see the whole city. It was very beautiful. I could see Big Ben, the Houses of Parliament, and many other famous places. It was a little scary because it was so high, but also very exciting. In the evening, I went to see a musical. London is famous for its theaters, and I wanted to see a show. I chose a musical called The Lion King. It was based on a movie I liked when I was a child. The theater was big and beautiful. The show was amazing. The actors sang and danced, and the costumes were very colorful. I enjoyed it very much. The next day, I went to Buckingham Palace. It is the home of the Queen. The palace was very big and beautiful. There were many tourists, and we all wanted to see the changing of the guard. The guards wear red uniforms and tall black hats. After visiting the palace, I went to Hyde Park. It is a very big park in the center of London. There were many people walking, jogging, and having picnics. I walked around and enjoyed the fresh air. I also visited the Diana Memorial Fountain. It was very peaceful and relaxing. In the afternoon, I went shopping on Oxford Street. It is a very famous shopping street with many stores. I went to some big department stores and bought some clothes and souvenirs. The street was very busy and there were many people. I enjoyed looking at the shops and seeing all the different things. In the evening, I decided to try some more English food. I went to a pub and ordered a traditional dish called bangers and mash. It is sausages with mashed potatoes and gravy. It was very tasty. I also tried some English dessert called sticky toffee pudding. It was sweet and delicious. The next day, I took a day trip to Cambridge. Cambridge is a small city near London, famous for its university. I took a train to get there. The train ride was very comfortable, and I enjoyed looking English countryside. When I arrived in Cambridge, I walked around the city. It was very beautiful with old buildings and narrow streets. I visited some of the colleges, which are part of the university. The colleges had big courtyards and beautiful gardens. I also took a boat ride on the River Cam. The boat was called a punt, and the person who steered it used a long pole. It was very peaceful and relaxing. In the afternoon, I visited the Fitzwilliam Museum. It had many interesting exhibits, including paintings, sculptures, and ancient artifacts. I spent a long time looking at everything. After the museum, I walked along the streets and visited some small shops. I bought some souvenirs to take home. In the evening, I took the train back to London. I was a little tired, but very happy. I had a wonderful day in Cambridge. The next day, I decided to visit the Natural History Museum. It is a very famous museum with many interesting exhibits about animals, plants, and the earth. The museum building was very big and beautiful. It looked like a castle. Inside the museum, I saw many amazing things. There were dinosaur skeletons, fossils, and a big blue whale model. I also learned about volcanoes, earthquakes, and the history of our planet. The museum was very interesting, and I enjoyed it very much. After the museum, I went to a place called South Bank. It is an area by the River Thames with many restaurants, shops, and entertainment. I walked along the river and enjoyed the view. I saw street performers, musicians, and artists. It was very lively and fun. In the evening, I went to a restaurant to try some more English food. I ordered a dish called shepherd's pie. It is made with minced meat and vegetables, topped with mashed potatoes. It was very tasty. I also tried some English beer. It was different from the beer I had in Hong Kong, but I liked it. The next day was my last day in London. I wanted to make the most of it. I decided to visit the Science Museum. It is a very famous museum with many interesting exhibits about science and technology. The museum was very big, and there were many rooms with different exhibits. I saw old steam engines, airplanes, and space rockets. I also learned about the history of medicine and computers. The museum was very interesting, and I enjoyed it very much. After the museum, I went to a place called Camden Market. It is a big market with many shops and food stalls. I walked around and looked at the shops. There were many interesting things to buy, like clothes, jewelry, and souvenirs. I also tried some street food. I had a tasty burger and some sweet crepes. In the evening, I went to see a play at the theater. I chose a play called The Mousetrap. It is a very famous play by Agatha Christie. The theater was very nice, and the play was very exciting. It was a mystery story, and I enjoyed trying to guess who the culprit was. The next morning, I packed my suitcase and got ready to go home. I felt a little sad to leave London, but also very happy. I had a wonderful time and saw many amazing things. I took a taxi to the airport and got on the plane. The flight back to Hong Kong was long, but I was very happy. I thought about all the things I saw and did in London. When I arrived back in Hong Kong, my parents were waiting for me at the airport. They were very happy to see me. I told them all about my trip and showed them the pictures I took. They were very interested and happy for me. My trip to London was a wonderful experience. I saw many amazing things, tried new foods, and met new people. I learned a lot about the history and culture of England. It was a dream come true. I will always remember my trip to London and hope to visit again someday.